Do you know how to be persuasive? Hello, and welcome to the Public Speaking Superpowers video podcast. I am Carma Spence, your host and author of the book Public Speaking Superpowers. If you are listening to this podcast in audio only, I invite you to come to the website at publicspeakingsuperpowers.com to watch the video, where you'll get a few extra little video tidbits. But if you want to continue listening to audio, that's just fine. You will still gain value. Today is episode 1 of season 2, and I'd like to start off the new season talking a little bit about persuasion. When it comes to convincing people to buy into your point of view, you've got 3 basic options. You can plead, please believe what I say. You can coerce, believe what I say or some bad outcome. Or you can persuade. I'm going to be talking about the third one today because that's usually your best bet. Pleading makes you weak. Coercion makes you a meanie. You don't want to be a meanie because that doesn't give lasting change anyway. So, what are the things you need to do to become persuasive? I'm going to cover 6 different things, techniques, tips that you can use to be more persuasive in your presentations. The first one is focus on what you would like to get across. You see, persuasive people have a vision. They have a vision for the outcome. In fact, in the next episode, I'll be interviewing Joel Schwartzberg, and he's going to be talking about the point. Your vision is the point of your presentation. So you've got this vision of where you want to lead your audience. And you need to focus on that and help your audience move along from where they are to where you want them to be. So for example, Mrs. Smith feels that there are too many roadkills on the road near her home. She feels that the speed limit has something to do with this, and so she wants to convince people to lower the speed limit. She visualizes fewer animals dying on the road, but realizes that there will be no change in the death count if she doesn't succeed. Although her motivation is animal preservation, her focus is lowering the speed limit. So you see the difference here. This is the result you want to get. You have a way that you think will achieve that goal. That's the goal. That's the point. That's what you're trying to get across. Focus on that. Point 2, formulate your idea into a purpose. If you can visualize your goal, then when you reach your goal, you will be either a success or a failure. If you focus on the purpose of your goal, you can never fail because you're always going to be moving toward that purpose, which means, yeah, there might be roadblocks along the way. You may have challenges. Those aren't endpoints. Those are milestones along the road. So focus on your purpose. You see, I haven't really actually talked about anything that's in the actual presentation at this point. This is all prep work. So first, you need to have that vision, and you need to understand what your focus is to achieve that vision. That's what you're going to focus on in your presentation. And then you need to be able to formulate this idea you have in your head. So for example, Mrs. Smith's, the speed limit will help reduce roadkills. So she's going to focus on speed limit. Now she needs to develop that technique into a purpose. Let's say Mrs. Fox's purpose is to reduce roadkills, okay? So she's going to say something to the effect that speed limits, if we reduce them, will end up in fewer roadkills, but it will also result in these other benefits because you're going to need to formulate this purpose that relates to your audience. And not everyone cares about whether animals die or not. I'm just saying. And you also have to think about this as a purpose is different from a goal because a goal is fixed in time and space. So, I want to be a good speaker. That's a goal, right? Or is it a purpose? You see, you can always get better as a speaker. I'm still getting better as a speaker. Am I perfect? No. But I'm getting better because I keep practicing and I keep moving toward becoming a better speaker. So, a goal is something that's fixed in time and space. And yes, you may want to suggest goals in your presentation in order to persuade people, But what's going to move them toward those goals is a purpose, a greater purpose. Why do I want to achieve those goals? And now for a quick commercial break. If public speakers were superheroes, what would their superpowers be? They could be passion, authenticity, voice, and more. And what's even better, you can have them too. You may ask, who, me? Yes, you. Order your copy of Public Speaking Superpowers on Amazon today. Find out more at publicspeakingsuperpowers.com. And now back to the podcast. Step 3, have an idea of who you're going to be talking to. Like I just said, you need to know who your audience is in order to persuade them. So for example, with Mrs. Smith, if she's going to be talking to a group of animal lovers, well, then she can focus her presentation on the benefits that lowering the speed rate will have on reducing animal deaths. But what if her audience doesn't really care about animals? What if her audience cares more about children crossing the street? Or maybe they care more about the noise level in their neighborhood. Then she needs to formulate her technique to get her goal, which is to reduce animal kills. The technique is lower the speed rate. But now she needs to talk about lowering the speed rate in a way that her audience can understand. So she can say, you lower the speed rate, that'll reduce the noise in our neighborhood because people won't be revving their engines. Or lowering the speed rate will help protect our children because our children are playing in the street. And when a car comes zooming around a corner, they don't have a time to brake and our children's lives are in danger. So again, always have your audience in mind when you're formulating your persuasive speech. The next thing you need to think about is to speak with conviction. You need to really believe in what you have to say. I want the speed limit dropped because I believe it will make the world a better place. If you're going to say, well, I think lowering the speed rates is a good idea, but yeah, no one's going to be persuaded if you're wishy-washy. So you need to own your belief, your conviction in what you have to say, and speak with that conviction. Number 5, show determination and persistence. Now, how do you do that in a presentation, right? Well, you're going to repeat what you have to say in little different ways over and over again so that you drive that point home. So in other words, you want to keep reiterating your point, but you want to do it in new and iterative ways so that you're not repetitive. Although sometimes there might be a small thing that you want to repeat. But basically what you're doing is you're showing that you are determined to convince your audience to at least give your ideas a chance. You want to be persistent in, even if there's a hostile audience, you're still going to make your point. You're going to stand your ground. You're going to speak with conviction, and you're going to be persistent in communicating your conviction, your passion, your beliefs, your suggestions and opinions to your audience. And finally, number 6, show people what they can do. It's all well and good to say, here are my wonderful ideas for making the world a better place, but your audience needs to know what action you want them to take. You need to have a call to action. So let's go back to Mrs. Smith. She wants to reduce the speed limit. What can the people in her audience do to help reduce the speed limit? Maybe they can write the city councilman. Maybe they can sign a petition that she has ready. She needs to give them a specific action to take. So, for example, in this podcast, what action do I want you to take? What I'd like you to do is think about the 6 steps I've given you, and I will iterate them in the notes below. Think about them and see how you can apply them to your next presentation. And that's anywhere. There are different presentations that you can give in your life. For example, say you're a guy who wants to ask that cute girl in class. Well, you want to persuade her to go on a date with you, right? Use these techniques to help persuade her to go on a date with you. Husbands and wives can help persuade their spouse to their point of view. Again, doing these things. You're in your job and you are, oh, let's say you're on a job interview. You want to persuade your potential employer to hire you. Or maybe you're talking to your boss and you want to persuade your boss to give you promotion or to implement the idea you have. You see, persuasion is an excellent technique that is useful in all areas of our life. If you want to learn more about persuasion, I recommend you check out the podcast from last season with Tim David, where he talks about the compel method. It also iterates different ideas on how you can persuade your audience. Persuasion, yes, it can be used for evil, but doesn't have to be. We are persuading the people in our lives all the time. So use these techniques and become a better persuader in your life and in your presentations. This is the Public Speaking Superpowers podcast with your host, Carma Spence, and I look forward to talking with you in the next episode, which will be featuring guest Joel Schwartzberg. Bloopers. When it comes to convincing other people to have that you're always going to be moving toward that